If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
Blah, 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 blah.
Sending out good vibes.
Blah, blah, blah.
Good vibes.
Blah,
Good vibes.
blah, blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be talking with Brandan Pundai a little bit later. I forget what we talked about. I think it was like freedom stuff, right?
Yeah, it was freedom and sovereignty and stuff. Yeah, he's always been keeping in touch with me on Instagram after we do these shows with freedom and stuff, and he's giving me his 2 cents, and I've been asking him questions, and because I struggle with this whole fucking thing, to be honest. So he was kind of, trying to keep me in line a little bit. And then he's like, and I thought I asked him a long time ago, like, well, why don't you come on and talk about it? But then he said later on, he's like, well, maybe I should come on. I said, yeah, sure, come on and talk about it. And actually, before I forget there, he did send me some notes after we finished recording, because we were talking about the Charter of Rights in Canada and stuff. And I read it out in the show, but I want to read his thoughts right now before we jump into all our lazy ramblings. And of course, you can skip forward to the interview. There's a timestamp in the show notes and on the podcast player. So he wrote back to me and said, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, so this is the Canadian Charter, guarantees the rights and freedoms set up. So this is the official verbiage. Rights and freedoms set out in it subject. Okay, let me start again. The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. So he just says it's explaining that the charter has limitations. I don't think it's a negative like you were thinking. There's a limit to all law. If the charter guarantees your rights, then it's the democratic law. It must be followed by the government, the employees, and the citizens. But I mean, I think going around after the convoy and stuff, people were pushing back and saying, well, it says, only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law. So I think people were using that as a, and I don't know if I agree with him on this. I think there is an out there in a way. And then he says, here's a definition of a person in your tax code. So person includes an individual, a partnership, a corporation, the estate of a deceased individual, a trust, or any organization such as a society, a union, a club, an association, or a commission. He says it's the same as the United States. When person and individual is lumped with corporation, trust, etc., it's called a justum generis, which means those words are of the like kind or all the same, meaning commerce. So he says, I'll bet they are putting your property, home, on the real estate ad valorem commercial tax roll as well. Everyone that lives in a so-called civilized country is being put under administrative law, commercial. So then, he sends other stuff about the rights and equality rights and legal rights and all, but that's all basically normal stuff. The enforcement part is interesting. Anyone whose rights or freedoms, as guaranteed by this charter, have been infringed or denied may apply to a court or of competent jurisdiction to obtain such remedy as the court considers appropriate and just in the circumstances. So I guess that's what people were trying to use during the COVID bullshit.
There you have it. So how's Sask? It's snowing like a motherfucker here.
Is it? Yeah, it's gonna.
High is like high -5, low -12 for the next 5 days.
Well, yeah, it's gonna start snowing this week. Yeah. So that's okay. Doing okay.
Yeah. I would get ready to move now.
Yeah, that's good. Congratulations.
6 weeks. I mean, I got this place for another 10 weeks, so not maybe 9, but so I'm not big of a rush. But
no. Do you got it till the end of the year?
I have
No, you
this
only got it
place.
for.
I have the house I'm in till the end of the year.
Oh,
I get
you
my
are.
new place on December 1st.
Oh, it's December. I thought it was November. Yeah. So yeah, you have another. Yeah, it'll come up pretty quick for you, especially after CAC. We got a CAC coming up in Canada.
Oh yeah, and an
Concept in
elk hunt.
Canada.
I'm busy at work
Yeah, hunting.
hunting, and then that's it. This elk hunt, and then a bit of duck hunting. I mean, I don't know these pheasants, dude. I shot a bunch of pheasants, and they're fucking delicious, dude. Fuck.
Really? People were asking me, does he eat those? Does he like them? Like,
Oh my god, we just had one for dinner.
really? They're nice. They're good. Yeah. What does it taste
Everyone
like?
loved it.
Chicken?
Chicken, very much like chicken. Dude, it's like remember in the day when like the chicken had dark meat and it was
Yeah.
like dark. That's not really a thing anymore. It's kind of like off-white meat. There's white
Right.
meat,
Okay.
off-white meat. But
Yeah.
when I was a kid, there was like fucking dark meat. It was brown. And that's
Now
what
it's
the
just
pheasant had.
loaded full of like growth hormones and stuff to
Yeah,
just
that's
jack
what
it
it
up.
is.
And
So I heard it was tough, but dude, so I had a whole pheasant. I plucked it, which was easy. And I pulled out all the real nice feathers first, all the tail feathers. Look how long this tail feather is, bro.
yeah, that's like what, 2.5 feet long?
No, it's probably about 16 inches.
Huh.
If I can get one shot good, I'm gonna get it mounted flying for my office. Anyway, it was delicious. So I threw that motherfucker. I brined it in a bag with salt and sugar water for 24 hours, and then I fried it quick in a big pan, sort of brown it whole bird. Well, no head, no head, no wings, but the drums and all that were on it. And dude, so I did that for 24 hours. I fried it quick, 5 minutes in the pan, flipped it around a few times, and then in some ghee, and then threw it in the pressure cooker for an hour, and it just fucking melted.
Really?
It was fucking spectacular.
Wow.
Yeah.
For
And
you.
enough for a family of 4. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not bad. I got 4 so far. So if I could get another, I'd like to get another 5 or 6, 7, 8 of those. The ducks are delicious too, though. So, the ducks are good and fatty now. I got a big fat dude. If I wouldn't have, so I shot the wing to shit. Otherwise, this mallard I shot on Saturday, I would have got it mounted.
So what do you mean by a good shot? So what would you need to do a good shot? Like hit it.
The
hit it.
wings can't be shot to shit for sure.
So
If
you gotta
had,
hit
you had a
it
shot in
fast.
the back that wasn't bad. Ideally, you want like one pellet to the head, I think. Or a couple pellets to the head, and that
But wouldn't
takes.
that destroy the head? I mean, isn't the head a big part of a stuffed bird?
The pellet's pretty small, I think I showed you one before. If you pull apart, they're just little tiny little things. So if you got one, you barely notice.
Right.
You got a couple. If he's full of holes, then I think what happens is because I think he like skins the fucking thing and puts it over a fake body, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the process of doing a bird. I don't know the process of doing a large game, but when I went to the taxidermy shop to get the tan for doing my velvet antlers, because you have to inject them with that tanning shit, whatever it is, some sort of weird solution. And it's all fucking, so all those things are like the fur tanned and wrapped on a plastic head.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure, I bet you they can fix it up too, right? They can fix wounds and stuff and make it look all perfect. Well, when did we talk about your experience about the pheasants? Was that on a different show or was that, we should talk about it now because people like your hunting stories on here
I
now.
think we did already because people were asking me about it.
Not on this show though.
I'm
It
sure
was on.
what
What?
show would it be on if not this show? It was
it
last
was-
week's show. Or the week before.
No, it wasn't. It just happened to you before, like.
Well, I didn't get the pheasants last weekend.
No, it wasn't on this show. It was on. It was on an
Weekend.
intro. Maybe it was an intro for Outlawed, or it was on.
No. It was on this show for sure.
No, it
I was
wasn't.
trying to get them and I hadn't got one yet, but I just got a bunch this weekend.
No. I want you to tell a story about coming up on the, coming up on the people in the bush.
On what people?
The pheasant people.
Oh, the pheasant release people.
Yeah. And we got to tell
Yeah.
that. We haven't told that story yet on here.
Oh no, that was just on Friday when we were driving
yeah.
around hunting.
What-
We were
what-
chasing a pheasant around in the bush, and then we were
Right.
leaving, and there's some white truck there, and we were driving by, and he waved us over. And he's like, "What are you guys hunting for?"
Did you think it was like? And didn't you think it was the what do you call the Parks and Rec people or whatever the wildlife the
When
game
we were down the road, we thought it might be the game wardens,
the game wardens? Yeah, and then
but it was he's like, "Well, it's your lucky day, boys. We just released a half a dozen pheasants in those bushes." So
and he actually pointed to the bushes.
yeah, and he's like, "You can't shoot them until we leave, though." So then he left, and we went in the bushes and shot a few. And
But
then
I just don't understand how they're still there. Like, wouldn't they? The truck
they-
drives
you had
away,
to, like,
you guys walk in and
we had to chase them down. You hear them, but they're big birds, so you can hear them like scurrying around in the underbrush. So you just like run around and wait till you. It's so thick, though, dude. It's so thick. Like after you shoot them, trying to get them out is a real chore.
oh,
Really?
the underbrush is thick.
Yeah,
You got
but
a
all the ones
machete?
we
You got a
shot 'em-
machete with you, or
no, just gotta crawl in, and you get cut to shit.
why don't you get to bring a machete?
It's like you'd be cutting down trees. I guess. I mean, that's a lot of destruction for some meat.
Well, so these pheasants have been in the wild like literally like 13 minutes. 10
Those ones,
minutes.
yeah, the ones we got on Saturday, though. We got 4 on Saturday.
Here's your
and
taste of freedom. Boom.
those are all flyers, so I guess they've been in the wild for at least a season.
Flyers. What?
Yeah, they don't really fly for the first few weeks when they get released.
Well, how did you know? Well, I don't understand it. So they release them, and then they bring them back. Like, how? What do you mean they've been released?
No, they
For a
just live in
season?
the wild. There's a huge population of wild pheasants in southern Alberta because of the releases.
I know, but these were fresh released, so then
The
they
Friday
can't.
ones were, but not the Saturday ones.
Right. So yeah, I know Friday ones. So the Friday ones were. So these poor things got released to the wild for the first time in their lives, and they just got fucking mowed down right away. Like they had like a literal taste of some fresh air, and they're like excited about
Probably
the big
terrified.
sky.
No, they're probably terrified. Rightfully so.
And then, so did you talk to this guy about his program, or like what? What did
No.
you find out about all that?
Find out about what?
Well, don't they release like 25,000 a year or something?
Well, that's all on the
What?
website. Yeah, there's a bunch of release sites all over the thing. Yeah, no, I didn't talk to Buddy. That's just part of the Alberta Pheasant Release Program.
So you guys buy hunting tags, and that pays for this release program. Like it seems to me like it's a bit of an op or a bit of a what did we use? What's the word we used before?
People have been hunting pheasants for 1,000 years, dude. It's a long op.
But dude, you
What do you think that? Like, what do you
government's
think? the ones
using
in
our
England
tax
come from?
dollars to release pheasants.
Oh, the hunting
Grow
program
and
pays
lead
for
the-
itself. It's not your tax dollars.
Well, you don't. I don't think that things cover the
There's
program.
a tax
cost.
on every single outdoor item sold in Canada. That goes.
Well,
to
yeah, that's our taxes.
Oh no, outdoor items have an extra excise tax.
But I know. Still our
That's what pays
taxes.
for the
Still-
national parks. That's what's paying for your park programs. That's what's paying for your wildlife officers that going around doing off of that. It's all paid for by the hunting program. It's self-sufficient. It's
But
not.
who's decided that like that's the right thing to do? Like grow all these pheasants in an arena and then drive them out all over the place to these small sites and release them 6 at a time. And there's thousands of them. And this is their job. This is this people's job. They just go out and release these pheasants. And
I doubt it's their whole job. I mean, it's like a little side gig, probably.
huh,
I can't see it being a full-time job.
like the pheasant Uber,
Yeah, they're from Asia.
the pheasants.
Yeah.
So how does that not like mess up our wildlife? Like I just don't understand how people do analysis that that's the right thing to do. Like, oh, we're just going to release thousands of Asian pheasants into Alberta for hunters, for people to just kill them.
Yeah, I don't know. You should do
Is
some
there
research.
another reason why they release them?
I don't know. You should do some research.
Well, I'm asking you. You're the knowledge.
I'm not
you're the
doing any
knowledge guy.
fucking research. I'm
You
just
told me
shooting
about all this stuff. You did the research already. I just find it like it's a racket.
Probably. Life's a racket, dude. What do you think fucking this is? What do you think it's all about? It's about finding a racket and fucking racking it up. Or you're actively a part of somebody else's
Do you
racket.
think the tags cover the cost of that program?
Fucking right, they do.
You think so?
I mean,
Really?
the tags are probably bringing in just on pheasant tags. You're probably looking at you probably saw 50,000, somewhere between 30 and 50,000 pheasant tags a year at $25 a piece,
Wow.
plus a portion of the upland license, which is another $40 times. There's probably 80,000 upland licenses sold.
What's that? What's an upland license?
That's to hunt all the other birds.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, dude, you're talking about fucking millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Wow. Interesting. So that goes. See, I kind of like that idea. I mean, people's tags and like, as long as the tags kind of cover the program and we're not paying for taxes.
Your taxes are definitely not paying for anything in the hunting realm.
What about the bears? Are they going to bring out the bear hunt, do you think, after this year?
Here, I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Grizzly bears?
Yeah, it sounded like there was some progress made there.
There's not a lot of grizzly bears in Alberta. It's BC has a shit ton of them.
Oh, okay.
BC, you were hunting them recently. I don't think you've been able to hunt grizzly bears in Alberta for a while.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe there's more of them now, but like they're pretty hard to find in Alberta, like to see. It's not like you're seeing them all the time. Mind you, I don't see them all the time in BC either. I've been seeing more recently than I've ever seen before. But yeah, you got to hunt them. You definitely got to hunt the bears. Otherwise, you're going to have an awful lot of fucking bears running around.
Like they do, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a while since it's a few people every year get eaten.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? BC, they're like roaming around towns now.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to run into a bear.
So, speaking of bears in BC, we're going to be driving through the Rockies soon, aren't we? With a group of cool people.
3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks?
3 weeks? Less than 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 2 weeks? Is it 2 weeks?
2.5 weeks, I guess. Yeah.
2 weeks from this week. 2 weeks from Thursday.
Yeah.
Oof, not a lot of time, guys. There's a few spots left. Get a ticket. We're going to have a time going through the Rockies. I'm going to bring out, because the property is out in the middle of nowhere there. So I'm going to bring the skeet shooter.
The property where we're staying, or?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Or even if we're going out in the middle of nowhere to the Lucier Hot Springs too. So I am going to throw the 410s into the truck. I got 3 of them and the skeet shooter. So we can go shoot some skeets. And maybe some other guns too. We'll see. We'll do some shooting. We'll do some shooting. We'll eat some elk. Maybe one night we could eat a bunch of ducks. So you guys tell me what you want to do. I think Oliver's going to come. I'm going to get Oliver to come and do the cooking.
And we're doing it with Brandan Powell again, one of the best Wim Hof trainers out there.
Brandan Powell. We got Antony coming from England. And we're going to have a bunch of wild meat. I mean, if you don't want wild meat, if you're coming, we better send out an email soon. If you don't want wild meat and you're coming, you better let us know. Because it's going to be sort of an all wild meat buffet. So far, the consensus is to bring the head. And a lot of calling you a fake Viking. So, I mean, it's no wonder we didn't find any Viking DNA in you.
We did. There's 5%.
Well, too bad there wasn't 10. If there's 10, maybe you could handle the head. But you might have to handle it anyway. I mean, I don't know. I might get myself into trouble hauling a decapitated elk head back and forth across the country over state lines. Provincial lines, but same thing. Most of our listeners are in the U.S., so we'll call it state lines because the BC rules are a little different, but fuck them. I don't mind. We'll just, who cares? We'll throw it right on the top.
So we're gonna do like cold plunging in the river, hopefully, and real hot springs, like natural hot springs.
Yeah, the Lucier Hot Springs. Are you bringing the Barbie?
Barbie,
mobile? The Barbie mobile?
No.
No, what are you bringing?
I don't know yet.
I think because we might not. I don't know if we're gonna get we gotta send up. We'll get the email out and figure out because we might have a van, we might not. We might have between my truck and your thing and Paul's thing. We might be all right, but we'll see. Well, we should get a van, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably get a van.
Or at least a big SUV or something like it.
Yeah.
Comfy SUV.
You're not bringing the Barbie mobile?
I don't know, man. My car. I'm trying to get my car. My car's still not fixed either, and I need to sell it. Like I'm just hurting all around.
You can't bring the car out that time of year, dude. It's fucking blizzard here right
What do you
now.
mean, dude? It's got 4-wheel drive. It's awesome in the snow.
It is not awesome in the snow.
Yeah, it is.
It's okay in a little bit of snow in the city. It's not okay out in the mountains.
Where we're going? We're going like we're going for what? We're going 4-by.
Not we're going 4-by, but I mean, if you brought the Barbie mobile, at least we could throw 3 people in it. The little fucking tuna car you got is like 1 person tops, and even that's not comfortable. 1 small person.
And my car's got 4
Yeah.
seats.
Oh my god, it does. The back seat does not count. The fucking passenger seat barely counts.
Well, you're so used to driving in these trucks, like you just any car to you is probably like a sardine can.
Yeah, they're all kind of small. They're low, but the bigger cars aren't so bad. There's
So
at least
yeah,
one
join
guy.
us. It's gonna be a fun meetup.
It's gonna be
drive through the
fucking
Rockies, whether there's
epic.
snow-capped mountains. Yeah,
It's gonna be an epic meetup. It's in our backyard. You know, we know our way around. We'll show you some cool spots. Maybe take you out to some spots you never seen before. Some spots off the beaten path. Take you for lunch in Banff. All these sort of take you to a couple great national parks. Teach you the Wim Hof method. Throw you in some hot springs. And feed you full of wild meat all weekend. I mean,
it's a very informal one. It's a very informal one. It's gonna be like a hangout, like the old school contact at the cabin in a way, except for we're gonna have the Wim Hof stuff and a little more organized than that. But there's not a lot of formal stuff. It's just we're gonna be hanging out for the weekend.
I got 10 bottles of those quarter-gram microdose bottles or pills kicking around I can bring out. Just throw in a big jar if people want to dig into that. So, party on, Wayne. I won't be partaking myself. I'm going to bring the family out for this one. So we'll have the miss and all the kids tagging along, checking it out. They'll probably spend quite a bit of time over at we're getting a place in Panorama, I think it's called. That might be what it's called. It's like a little resort about 15 minutes away. So that they can time out for some of it while we're over there having a time. It's too bad Weeksy wasn't coming up because I left my fucking guitar in Montana. But the bros won't be there to play it anyway. But I'm sure someone else will be bringing some musical instruments. There's a bunch of people from the chats coming. Looks like Ollie's going to make it up to do the cooking for us. Like I say, it's going to be all wild meat. So come on down, guys. Get a ticket. Contact at thecabin.com, motherfuckers. If you can, when you can. Value for Value show, too. While you're there, support the show. Grimerica.ca/support. I mean, I don't know what it is, but no one wants to support the show anymore. It's literally at an all-time low. Subscriptions get canceled. I don't know if you guys know. Maybe you change your credit card. I don't know what happens. PayPal's just a dick sometimes. But double check your subscriptions. Sign up if you can, even if it's for $1 a month. It helps. The audiobook podcast is out there. It's got 100 books in it, guys. 3 for free every month, rotating. And like 1 to 2.5 hours of every other one in there. You can preview the first few chapters, see if it fits you. Then you can decide if you want to sign up for the premium and get all those books for free or just buy them. Any place you get audiobooks, you can get our audiobooks now. We're not just on Audible. We're everywhere and on that podcast. So that's adultbrain.ca and our other podcast, America Outlawed, where we do great roundups and we do spicy ones now too. You can even get some spicy ones for free where we talk about the jibbity jabs and stuff like that. So check all that out, guys. GrimericaOutlawed.ca. Like I say, it's a bunch of free podcasts. It's still free. It's not all money over there. You can go listen to Grimerica Outlawed for free.
Yeah, lots of it for free. Yeah, and also we got big news that we talked about. I think we brought it out last week, but it's already been a week. The Eclipse, the Eclipse Festival. The Eclipse at the Canyon.
Eclipse at the Canyon. I haven't updated. Oh, the website is updated, right?
It should be, yeah.
Yeah, because Andre updated it. Great.
So go to contact@thecabin.com. There should be a tab for Eclipse at the Canyon there as well. But you can also go to Eventbrite and find it through Eventbrite.
Not
Yeah, but
yeah, it is
there's a
that's not
discount.
part of the cabin.
There's a discount for the first 100 tickets sold. So there's probably going to be what 300 or 400 people going, I guess, Darren, or
Yeah,
that's
there's going to be 300 or
huge event.
400 people going, and the first 100, all the VIP ones, I think, are gone.
Right in the path of totality, like the path of totality. And Dave Matheson's going to be speaking there. Ben from Uncharted X, Russ Allen from the Brothers of the Serpent, $50 Dynasty, the band, and a couple other bands. It's going to be fantastic.
There you have it, guys. And no bio for Brandan Pundai, but it's a great chat. We think you guys will like it. We've done some great chats on Outlawed that we know you like lately. Like I say, check out that show. If you like this show, support it. We could use it. Other than that, love you guys. Actually, no, not here. That's not here. That's at the end of the show. Just enjoy the chat. Brandan Pundai.
Brandon, thanks for coming to Grimerica. How you doing?
Good, man.
Good. This will be
Good.
interesting. I want to make, every once in a while, it's nice to have an episode where somebody's not selling something or they're not out there like online marketing something. But you've been for a couple of years now, you kind of been helping me understand this whole freedom thing a little bit, freedom and sovereignty. You listen to some of our episodes with some of our past guests on freedom. And
Yep.
you've been very helpful to me. We've been kind of going back and forth. And then finally, I thought I had asked you a long time ago. Maybe I did. I didn't reread all my text to you, but I thought I asked you a long time ago. But then you finally said, "Well, hey, why don't I come on the show and talk about it?" So I thought, well, let's do that. We'll have a unique episode where you talk to somebody that's been through the journey, that's kind of helping others, but you're not out there like selling a training platform or anything. So
Man, there's a lot of that going on. Holy cow. And I actually got sucked into that a little bit. There's a secured party creditor process out there that basically making like indemnity bonds I don't know. It's crazy. There's like parts of all of this stuff that there's truth to it. So you can like, I don't know, you could read laws and you could read different things that will kind of make you feel like that you're on the right path. And I think that's how people just get sucked in, and kind of end up going down the wrong path or going into these guru guys and all that. And it just, man, I basically looked into every aspect of it. And then it really boils down to what you can read in the black and white written law and understanding what words mean, like the definitions of the words that just a perfect example. And you might have even heard about like person can mean like a man or a woman. It can mean actually a business. And people don't even get that. Like the tax code, it gives a definition under income tax of person, individual, corporation, a trust. And then when you understand law, whenever those words are all bundled together, they're of like kind. So person and individual is actually like a business owner, not a man or a woman that just has a job. So just those simple things of like understanding definitions can, you understand them the wrong way, or in everyday life, it's totally different in law. Or you may read it and see those words, and then you're totally confused. Like, oh, individual, that's me. Like we all think that. I think everybody thinks that for really anything, statute, constitution, all of it. And that's where that American national kind of thing, that's where it like gets people mixed up.
You mentioned you went through like 5 different. So you're researching, like you've been researching this for a while. Like you went down like 5 different sort of paths, 5
Yep.
different ways, right?
Yeah, and that secured party was one, which actually that dabbles in a little bit of law. It's like using the administrative processes, but you're doing like, you're in a way, you're like pooling your citizenship, which is where you have protection like in the courts. So if you take yourself out of that, how do you get anything done? There's people talking about contracts, and you can send through registered mail, you can send these like, what did they call them?
An affidavit, no? Or
No, and because an affidavit is like a statement of truth. And that's something that can like help you along the way, but that would just be for like record in a court. You could use that as record. But you can do affidavits. You could send them to people, and maybe you can get something done with that, or like a notice of liability kind of thing. And if you're doing those kind of things, and you're basically like, what do I want to say? You're doing those things, and you are, man, I'm like brain fading right now.
that's okay. Yeah, take your time.
Let me see. I actually did write notes down and stuff. Dude, just not doing this, it's like, oh, it's kind of nerve-wracking in a way.
Well, this has been a confusing topic for me, like, because I've been so brainwashed and ingrained into like thinking about the way we grew up with. You just have everything. You think everything is so stuck in this infrastructure that we have, and it's hard to imagine us as being like free from the state. Free from
yeah.
You can't even imagine how it happens, right? So it's hard to even
go
along with some of these things.
So that's like your citizenship kind of, I don't know how Canada is set up. I'm sure like, as far as I know, like every country, you obtain your natural rights, basically. They're called substantive rights in law. So you obtain those basically no matter what. And you're at this point, I would say most of us are getting pushed under like an administrative process, which is like, if you're looking at law itself, your constitution is the top tier. And then you have like your legislative, and then administrative, and then case law. And administrative is like, I mean, it's what you think about it, like getting a business license and dealing with commerce. And we kind of got shuffled into that. And that's where like mandates fall into place, and ordinances, like all of that applies to their business. So it's like no different really than, say you work for Walmart or McDonald's or something, and they have policies, and you have to follow those policies. It's like, it's the same thing. So essentially that's what we're all getting confused. You hear mandate this or resolution or ordinance, and you have to follow it, and it's all just for the inhabitants or employees or people in contract with the municipality. Or what do you guys have, Providence?
Province, yeah.
Yeah, so province, like that. Yep. So that's what we're basically all getting shuffled into. It's like traffic, any kind of traffic stuff, really almost everything. It's crazy. Any like, so say, all right, here's a good example of, so say the mask thing. If somebody in a store is telling you have to wear a mask, it's like a medical intervention. They're telling you, or if you had to have a vaccine card. I mean, think about it as discrimination for one. Like, you can't come into a public accommodation without those things. And oh boy, you could list, depending on where you are, you have to look up the statute, but there's laws against all of that. You think about health information, you can't just go get somebody's health information. So it falls under those protections, you could say.
So I think the problem with our Constitution is there's a caveat, I think, at the beginning of it, isn't there, Darren? Or there's some fucking get out of jail for the so it talks about our rights and freedoms and all that, but then there's like, if, unless, or an if clause in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Unless there's an emergency kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think
you got to really you got to really dig into it, though, like almost like word for word. So those specific areas that talk about your protections, it's really about understanding what those words mean. And that's where I was confused with our Constitution, because there was so much stuff going around about the U.S. citizen is like such a bad thing. And then here, that's the way you have the protection is by being a U.S. citizen. And if you're doing like, you want to be an American national, you're taking yourself outside of that. So then you have no protection. You can't do anything in a court. There's actually even things, there's a United States code. I don't remember which one it is, but there's a code that says the American national still owes allegiance to the state, which is the United States. So it's like you're still liable. So people think, oh, I'm going to do this American national thing, and you still have liability. So there's no point to it whatsoever, like people think, and like people are being told. And all the the trust thing and all that. There's like no proof in it. So I did that. I did like the little credit card. I don't know if you guys saw that. Like there's little procedures you can do to try to get credit card debt written off and all that kind of stuff. And there is some truth to this. I haven't looked up the securities, but I looked up bonds under each thing. So like driver's license, social security cards, registrations, any interaction you have with the government in any way, there's numbers on it. And I looked up under the US Treasury, like the bonds for each thing. And they were issued. So they issued bonds. Supposedly as bonds are securitized and put on a market. So I even looked those up, and just from what I understand of securities law, that's securities fraud, because those things are putting my name and everybody's name who lives here, and you're not allowed to do that under law.
You do that when you're born, like when you do your birth certificate kind of thing?
Anything you do with them. So birth certificate, if you look on anything like that, your driver's license, if you have some sort of social security card, I had vehicle registrations, everything has numbers on it. And I was able to look those up, and they're there. And supposedly those are securitized and put on a market, and they just have accrued since they were come into play. And there's
those. So is that what people are trying to say, that they have access to that?
Well, yeah, they're trying to, and it's like, how do you have access? They're in your name. So technically you could go try to figure it out. And so the guy, Alphonse, that I was telling you to, like, you should really have him on, because he's talked to some people from Canada. So he kind of knows, and he knows this, like the law really, really well. He talks pretty plainly, so it's easy to understand. But they like him and another guy called Big Sib. They have Telegram groups, but they have like all kind of files in there that you can listen to conversations that they have and stuff like that. And man, they talk about that, those securities, and they actually think that they're fraudulent, that they think that they don't exist. And I've never talked to those guys to like be like, dude, they actually do. And that's kind of crazy. But they bag on all that, like the trust thing, which I think it exists, but you can't prove it in any way. There's no way to prove it. You could
Does
prove
that
the
have anything
securities
to do
thing.
with like the capital name and the corporation? Like how the names are all
Yeah.
capitalized on the birth certificate, so it's like you're a corporation. So are all those assets going into the Brandan Pundai Corporation?
Yeah, but it's that whole capital name thing's completely like ass backwards, you know. It doesn't mean anything really, because it doesn't play anything. You go into court, and if you know the law and the procedure, you're not. That means nothing. You can go in there and say you're not going to cross the line. All that is just it's total nonsense. Honestly, there might be somewhere you like some of the national guys could figure out, but to get like an Article 3 court, which you do by just by filing a motion in a court, it becomes a judicial court. So you go out of that administrative court, which pretty much everybody's being tied into. The only way, say you're not, is if somebody brings a claim against you, which is like how it's really supposed to be. So if I harm you in some way, then you can bring a claim against me, which you can do. That's when it becomes a judicial court. But everything else falls under administrative. So, but the whole capital letter, all of it is just, I really wonder sometimes like where it comes from. Like where did that come from, you know? Was it I think it was like planted there, to be honest with you. That
Yeah,
information.
yeah, that's what I think Rob was saying at the beginning of the show. He was kind of saying his problem with this is it all comes from the MSM. So I took that as kind of like saying that all these movements come from some sort of limited hangout or something. You know?
And the shit is everywhere now. It's insane. Like on Instagram, there's stuff all over the place. I was just like, wow. People saying they can pay off debts, and oh man.
Well, getting back to the court thing, what did you mean about registering privately through the courts? Like there was, you sent me a message one day about registering privately through the courts. Is
that's exactly why I stopped with my outline, because I started to really dig in, and that was like the whole private trust and all that is just, it's the same thing. You think about what I just said about just the IRS code, and the trust is under their code. So how the hell can you be private if you register a trust with the government and with banks? So how can it be private when you register it? You know, and then whenever it falls under the IRS code, how would you have protection from, say, taxation? It's not. I don't know of any way, and that's going around everywhere. The private trust and being a private banker and all that shit with like, what are the life insurance? it's it's just all. I think it's just maybe these people are just making money at it by doing like seminars, or you pay the monthly fee and you learn about it, and then it really gets you nowhere. And like I was saying before about those people trying to pay off like credit cards and buy cars with these 1099 forms, that's like a big thing here, and buy a house. Something may happen if you find like a car dealer or maybe a home builder that's dumb enough to like sign for that and like put the paperwork through, but it'll end up being securities fraud. It's like black and white, you can read, and if you have any kind of common sense, you can read it in the law that says it would be securities fraud. Because I have read those couple little things. I don't like dive super crazy because I don't have, I'm looking into income tax of not doing that, but it's like it's like you get stuffed in a corner because you basically have to convince, if you work for somebody, you have to convince your employer not to withdraw. Because the minute you fill out any kind of form and you put your signature on that form, no matter what it is with the IRS, you have an obligation to
In
taxes.
Canada, it's illegal to not pay. Like, so in Canada, you get taxed before you get your paycheck. So your employer is actually paying all
Yeah,
the
it's
taxes for you, and it's illegal for them not to pay those taxes.
right. Well, they say the same thing here. But then when you look in the IRS code, you cannot find, I've looked up and down, you can't find anywhere that a man or woman must pay income tax.
So the way it's sort of framed in Canada and in US, as near as I can tell, and I seem to, I'm obviously more immersed in the Canadian system, but I do know a bunch of dudes down in the States too. And it seems like once you get into being a business owner, especially a small business owner, the smaller the better, like 1, 2, 3 people.
Yeah.
That's sort of when you get into the territory of taxes, being somewhat voluntary. You're sort of right in that fly under the radar mode, and
Yeah.
nobody's really fucking paying attention. Nobody gives a fuck. You're not an incorporation. You haven't incorporated. You're barely a
Yeah.
registered business.
Yeah. Well, even still here, basically what businesses are doing here is making themselves what's called a withholding agent, which is basically kind of falls under their territory. So, which is completely wrong. Like, if you actually read what a withholding agent is, it's not supposed to be just a private business. It's more or less like a government business. So, like, I don't, the military, so the Army or the Navy, anything, municipality, state government, like, the governor's office or state employees, anybody like that is supposed to fall under those, or anybody in contract with them, not a private business. Like, I work for a pool builder, and I'm not supposed to be getting tax out of his business. He's actually supposed to not be, like, the owner should be able to take money home and not be taxed. But for business privilege, yes, he should be taxed, and he should, like, have to follow what do you call it, like code enforcement for, like, the building, and you get permits if you want to put up like a little structure or whatever it is. But for your home and your dwelling and for property, you have a right to all of that here. That's where I don't know with Canada. I really don't. I feel like it's the same there. I feel like it's the same in every country, because I've heard of people in other countries that follow like the Alphonse group, and they've had to go to court. Like, you have to learn the procedures and you have to learn what court is all about. And it's really, I mean, I would say it's difficult, but like, once you really dig into it, it's not that insane. Not that I've like been in and out of courts by any means, but I can read and understand. It's something you can actually read. It's tangible. You can read it. You can read definition. You can understand what it says. And that's why I ended up in that route. Basically, it's like, then it's not bullshit, because all that other stuff, it's like you'll get little bits and pieces, the American national thing, which that's something. And there's a whole nother thing to the birth certificate and everything, which is like
Well,
with Rome, and oh man, it's
can you
wild.
describe the American national thing for people that don't know? I don't even know. I'm not sure what it even means exactly.
Well, so it's basically like, or state national or American national. It's basically like you're born a U.S. citizen and a member of the state where you were born. So whenever you're born here, and that's what people are saying is the state national, union state citizen. There's like a couple different names for it that people gave it. And it's like basically another citizenship. You're kind of putting yourself outside of, they think you're putting yourself outside of the United States jurisdiction. So basically outside of the government's jurisdiction is completely, at least the United States code I've read, it's false because you still have allegiance to that and to being a citizen. So you still have to follow the same laws, which if you're outside of administrative law, there's not many laws, to be honest with you. It's basically don't harm another man or woman and you're okay in any way, whether it's whatever, theft, hurting somebody, whatever the case is. That's the only way you're supposed to be in court for any reason, or getting any kind of ticket or fine or any trouble whatsoever.
What do you think about these people that say, recently I was like, if you have 150 people, you can start your own kind of thing outside the system? Or there's also like the Kevin Annett freedom thing where I think he was talking about 12 people can create their own, what did he call it, Darren? Their own
I forget what it was now.
Yeah.
Their own something. We were going to do what?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could really think about it. You could do whatever you want, you know, anything like that. But what's it going to do for you?
But there's there's no number limit or like the amount of people that you have that you can create your own sort of sovereign state within there or something. There's nothing.
No, actually something that it's funny. There's like a private membership thing, which I think is true. You know, like the private trust thing, maybe you can do something like that, but all that's going to be is a contract. So it might be like a contract with you and if you got family members, it's kind of like a contract or an agreement, which it states in the Constitution here that the government can't get involved with any contract unless you allow them. So I think a trust kind of falls under that kind of thing, but it goes into like the private thing. I actually had a buddy who wanted to put a mini golf course at his place, and he went in and was asking the municipality about it. And the guy's like, nah, you're not coded for that and all that kind of bullshit. Like basically, no, you can't do it. And my buddy remembered when he was a kid hearing about, oh, I'll just make it like a private membership thing. And the guy like whispered to him and said, yeah, you can do that. And we can't do anything about it.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and I've heard of people doing that. Like there's something about it though. Like when you're on a property tax roll, if you have your property and you're doing something with your property, but you're on a tax roll, you're putting yourself like on that's a commercial tax roll. Here in the States, it's called an ad valorem tax roll. And you're putting yourself, they put you under real estate, which is commercial. So your home is not supposed to be under that at all. And everybody's home property here is under that. So then that's how you get forced into getting permits and following the rules. Like you can't put a mini golf course on your place if you want it. So then imagine you get yourself off that property tax roll. I mean, they're never allowed to step foot on your property. I mean, a warrant, then they could if, hey, somebody's claiming you harmed them or did something crazy and they have evidence, then yes, they could get a warrant and come onto your property, but that's it. Otherwise, they have no business being there. So that kind of can go into like what you're talking about with, you know, you could have a little compound or something if you wanted.
The Republic of Kanata, that was his thing.
Yeah, but it's, I mean,
good if you expect that they're just going to be like, oh, well, you know, we don't have jurisdiction over you, so we're just going to see ya. We're just going to go home. I mean, they're just going to fucking eradicate you. I'll tell you, there's a bunch of Indians in Canada who think that the system doesn't have jurisdiction over them, and it ain't going great for them.
Yeah, dude, it's They need to be like looking at the laws, black and white written law, to see what protects you from shit, from jabs, from your rights being violated. Because I guarantee you have rights there. You have civil rights. It's like
Totally, but we also got like the Alberta Four that have been locked up for like what, fucking
Yeah, we have a corrupted
500 days straight now without a trial, or it's just like it all sounds good, but if you fucking rub them the wrong way for long enough, they'll just
yeah.
lock you up and throw away the fucking key because they got bigger guns than you.
Yep. There's
Yeah,
no
we've got
doubt.
corrupted courts too. They're captured here. I mean, the whole convoy thing was a joke. Anything that happens with the government is a joke. They just get away with whatever the fuck they want. Meanwhile, like Darren said, these 4 guys are arrested. I mean, it's really, that's what's so disheartening when you say, oh, just we need to know the law, but it doesn't matter if you're on the if the system is corrupted so bad.
But so I was thinking the same thing, right? Because I was just like, dude, that's why I was going that other direction at first, to thinking about the national thing. Because all right, man, I'll just be outside of the system, but you could still live and kind of utilize it in a little bit of a way,
Yeah, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of.
Yeah, but it really doesn't do that for you. So that's why I just went away from it. And I mean, here, your rights are completely protected. You just have to know basically how to utilize the system. You got to know what to say. You got to know what to do in order to get that. And like Alphonse, those dudes you can look up their current court cases and shit. Like they're actually in the courts doing something, and they're getting steamrolled in municipal courts and in state courts. But you can like appeal and move judges. So you can move out of a district into another district. And hey, you may not get anywhere. You may do something and not get anywhere, but I would say for most things, you'll eventually find somebody that follows the law. Because I don't think everybody's corrupt. And I honestly, dude, like you're talking about the 4 people that got arrested, and then I really wouldn't doubt if that's crap, to be honest with you, because I've come across a lot of shit here that just wasn't true.
Yeah, no, it's pretty close to home. It's like down the road. Well, not down the road.
Oh, okay.
It was at the border. It was during the convoy thing. It was at the border, that Coots border. And
yeah, I actually listened to something. Beth Martins, do you know of her?
I don't
She
think
does
so.
like a podcast or something. But she had Alphonse on there. She's from Canada, and they were talking about that. They were talking about the guys that were taken away. Like, didn't some of them get taken away and then let go? Because somebody mentioned that, like they heard 1 or 2 of them just got let go, like got beat up or something and let go.
I'm not sure. I know.
Yeah, it's right.
Joe, and then I guess my U.S. example would be like places like Waco and Ruby Ridge, where I mean, when they'll just they don't give a fuck at the end of the day. I mean, you could maybe fucking poke them for so long, and so this, and it depends on what direction. I mean, they're probably happy if you want to blow your money in court, but if you're trying to really fuck with them, like, hey man, we're done paying taxes. We're not part of the U.S. We're starting our own little thing over here in fucking Gramland.
Yeah.
They'll fucking kill you. That's my fucking honest opinion. They don't care about the courts or anything else. They'll fucking kill you with guns.
Well, I think if you're not in the public, like telling everybody about whatever you have going on, I don't think anybody talking about law, like going into a court in public, because it's public information, it would be on a record. So you talking about that is nobody can say anything about that. But I think if you, I don't even know if you having a compound, like why would they care? You know what I mean? Why would they why would they care? If you're directly messing with them or threatening them in some way, then
I would
could see
just not paying taxes, man. Like I was just having the conversation with one of my guys today about how I was like, then there's not a fucking law that you can mention that this fucking state won't kill you over. Period.
Yeah.
Whether that's getting pulled over for speeding, try not rolling down your window. Try not stopping.
Oh
Try not
yeah,
stopping when the cop pulls it, or try,
Dude.
try not to just don't pay your taxes, but then just don't just keep not paying and keep not paying. And when they tell you and they give you a fine, just don't pay. They'll either shoot you or they'll threaten to throw you in jail. And if
Yeah.
you fucking resist going into that cage that they're going to throw you in, which is my opinion is violence, then they'll shoot you. So at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it could be fucking jaywalking, but this government will eventually shoot you for it.
They could.
And you're talking
There's
about
no
Canada
doubt.
too.
So my thing is my compound, they're going to shoot me for not paying property taxes. That's what they're going to fucking hammer me on right away is they're going to say, you don't got proper tax. Your property is now our property because you're defunct. And I'm going to, and it's just
Dude,
going to,
check
I
this.
get way code.
Check this story out. So there's a dude actually I'm in Orlando. There's a dude in Orlando. He's like the OG of property tax. Like he figured it out a while back. Actually, probably like 15 years ago. He got all he did was a records request. So I was telling you about like the commercial tax roll. It's called an ad valorem tax roll. That's the real estate that your home is under and your property. That's commercial. So there's nothing to do, like you have to make money at a business for it to fall under that and for you to file a return. This dude did a records request asking how where the return was, basically. Where's the return that you have on file putting my property, my home, on the ad valorem tax roll? And I guess the assessor, the tax assessor, like called him back and was like, you got to come down here and talk, or I got to hand this over to over to the lawyer, because they have like I'm sure an in-house lawyer or some shit that deals with issues like court issues or whatever. And supposedly just from him doing a records request, he got his property taken off. They just dropped it because he requested, and the tax assessor was smart enough to realize that it was, holy shit, how were we putting this dude's home on a commercial tax roll? Like, how is that possible? We can't. It's illegal. So he got himself taken off. But the story was his buddy, exactly what you were talking about, didn't pay his taxes, but he didn't do any of that. He didn't do records requests. He didn't do anything really to try. He just didn't pay the tax. So his property is on a real estate, like ad valorem tax roll, which if you don't basically rebut that in any way, of course you're going to be liable for the property tax, right? So he didn't rebut that. He didn't go to court. He didn't get his property taken off. And he didn't pay his property tax. They went and like busted him up, took his dogs. I guess they put a bunch of his animals down, ripped him out of his house, put him in prison for trespassing. And the other guy, Steve, is the guy who did the records request, got him off. Steve helped him after he got out of jail. He helped him learn. The guy had to learn, like he had to be able to do this himself. He ended up going through to federal district court, got a 30. He didn't actually have to go through a trial because they settled. They didn't want to put that information out there because then anybody could just copy it. So they settled with the guy for $35 million. And they got his house back. There's people living in his house, and they gave the people money to get them out of the house. He got his house back and got that settlement for what they did to him. And he was actually on the tax roll. So technically he did have to pay. Like, it's not until you get your place off through the courts that can be possible. It's just like income tax. Like, I was like, dude, I just don't want to pay. But then I'm like, well, I have it's called a W-4 here, where it's like your return. You're basically saying, here, take this much money out of my taxes every month, every pay period or whatever. So you're signing it and you're giving them permission to take money out of your wages. And that's where, because I did that, I'm stuck. And then my employer's scared, like he doesn't want to do that.
Right.
There's a form, actually, they have a form that says, hey, I'm going to be the one to pay the taxes. Like, it's not going to come right out of my wages. I'll pay it later. But then you're filling out a form, so they're going to come after you. So it's like,
if you like in the beginning, you're like, nah, man, I'm not signing the tax forms. You're probably not getting the job. That's like part of the first couple of days process. You're just like, they're like, nah, man. You like, I know how it is. It's just like, fuck this trouble. You're out, on to the fucking next guy.
Right. So yeah, I was like, dude, what employer would be like, oh yeah, fuck it. we'll just risk getting in trouble just so you don't have to pay income tax. Like, no.
So what kind of stuff when he asked for the record?
What kind of get my employer to fucking something? They're like, the only way would be to get rid of me and make me a contractor.
Yeah, but then I was thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. But then being a pool builder,
and it'd be my problem. But that doesn't technically get me out of the tax liability. That just gets my employer out of the liability of them being liable, because the government won't go after them now for not paying my taxes.
But then they'll have to do a 1099. That's what
will track me down eventually.
Yeah, because that's still putting your name under the IRS, basically. So whoever your collection is,
eventually they'll go through the number and figure out who owns the number company. So you just need to have a company that owns a company that owns a company that owns a company.
Or don't have a company and you do individual contract with whoever you work with. So if you're like
that's tough to do on the first day. How do you like walk me through how I go in on the first day and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm there.
Yeah. No. I think you're talking more about if you weren't working for a company, but for yourself, right? Starting up a company, don't.
That would be like the true way to do it, is the contract with everybody you do work for. And then the government here can't get involved in a contract. So then they have no say. And if you don't have a business license, then you have no obligation to them whatsoever. It's the same thing with like a marriage license. Dude, it's that whole, like, think about just what license you're asking for a third party to be involved with your marriage. Like, why the fuck do you need a license to be married to somebody? You don't. That's why they can come in and take your kids away or whatever. Like, they don't just do that, but that's why they can be involved. And that's why they're involved with a divorce.
Can't they track, like, if you're a company paying a contractor, can't they track your revenue? Like, if they see your revenue that you paid somebody, then they go to him and look at him and make sure that he's recognizing that as revenue? Or,
well, that's why I say, if you're ever going to fuck with any of this, if you know the law and you know you're protected, you probably still could have your bank account locked up, but you could easily go down and tell the bank manager, like, dude, you better unlock the account or state those laws, and they're probably going to shit their pants. Like, you're breaking 10 different laws by locking my money up. Because the IRS can't say anywhere that I have to pay income tax on my labor, which is my property, But that's the whole thing. It's like, if you're just a dude working for a business like I am, I got to convince my employer, like, and he's not willing to do that. Nobody's willing to do that has like a somewhat successful or a successful business. Why would they do that for anybody? Because they don't know. I'm sure if they really knew the law, or, because even any lawyer or accountant, they're going to tell them, no, you don't want to do that, because everybody thinks that we all got to pay. you know?
So what got you interested in all this stuff way back?
No, all the BS in 2020. You know,
Really?
I really started looking, um, yeah, really that.
So it's
It was
pretty new.
just,
So it's pretty new then, last few years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, you know what? I actually got myself jammed up like 12 years ago for growing some plants.
Wow.
And really just about then, but I didn't like get into this aspect of it. You know, I guess I didn't understand it that well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like kind of then. And I always just knew, dude, I mean, forever. My first paycheck, I was like, dude, why the fuck am I giving anything to them? Like, why do I gotta give money away? What is that all about? Just feeling like something was wrong with that in itself. I'm like, what the hell do you have to give money away? What are they doing for me? You know?
And you're a professional. Well, you were a professional bike rider too, or you
Yeah.
still ride or
I just ride. Actually
what
ride
kind of bike?
motocross.
Motocross?
Yeah, for fun. Yeah, and mountain bike. But I rode BMX bikes like professionally.
Oh wow.
I rode for like 12 years. I did like dirt jumping and skate parks and all that kind of
What's the
shit.
highest you ever jumped?
Oh, dude. Probably on my BMX bike, we had dirt jumps, and the longest, it's probably like 40 feet long from like one hump to the next. So you're jumping like, yeah.
So you must be fucking cruising on that little bike.
Yeah. It's so weird that I don't even ride them now because they're so small. Like, because a mountain bike's way bigger, and a motocross, obviously, they like kind of fit together. You can like bounce from one to the other, and it's cool.
So
But
motocross is like a road bike with sort of like simplified road bike with mountain bike tires, kind of, or something like that, or
no, dirt bike, like
oh, dirt bike.
motocross.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like track, like a track, or that's mainly what I ride, like a motocross track. So like, yeah, ruts and big jump,
Holy shit!
100-foot jumps and shit. Yeah,
I have a little Yamaha DT 100.
100
yeah, yeah.
jumps.
Little pit.
I don't
Yeah,
think
oh,
I'm
yeah,
doing any 100-foot jumps, but I'm gonna be ripping that motherfucker around. I was
yeah.
thinking about taking the tire off because it's a tubed one. So I was gonna take the back tire off and fucking drive a bunch of screws through it.
Oh shit!
I
They
can
sell
rip
tires
around in
like
the
that,
snow.
the studded tires.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
for
I'll rip
snow and
around in the
shit.
snow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the pit bikes are fun, man. That's like what we call them. So the bunch of adults go around and ride little 50s and race and shit, like bang into each other, and it's just like a good time. People will be drinking and having fun. There's actually a big race this weekend. Just Florida motocross is real big. So there's like a big pit bike race this weekend. They have like 10 grand up for winning. It's crazy.
Do you have any obviously you have limits to the type of bike you can use, right?
Yeah, they have like different classes for
Oh,
that
okay.
shit. Yeah. So they'll have like a 110, a 50 class, and I think that's about it. So they're small. Like people look funny. It looks like they don't belong on it, you know?
Yeah.
It's
That would be
cool.
me on any motorbike. That would
Yeah.
look like I didn't
I
belong.
got video of you looking like a dope on a motorbike.
It's probably on that bike.
It was on that bike, yeah.
Just flipping around in the mud, barely moving
And like
along, but it
fucking
felt like I was
third
going
gear,
fast.
yeah, not shifted gears, wound right out. Ah.
That's funny.
I had a couple bad experiences as a kid driving on motorbikes. Like fucking went through a fence once, I think, and then I wiped out some other time, and I just never was any good on motorbikes.
Yeah.
Mountain biking and biking was fine, but
Yeah.
motorbiking, no.
You just gotta try hard,
Dude,
and you can't be scared.
I just,
I'll tell you, dude, like in the sport itself, people die all the time. Like all the time, like racing on tracks and practicing and stuff. Like,
wow, really, eh?
yeah, it's brutal. Like it's been like 8 years now. I broke my back and my pelvis.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like broke my pelvis in half and broke my
How'd you
lower
do
back.
that?
I was riding an indoor track, so it's like real tight jumps and stuff, and I just missed call it like mistiming when you come up a little short on something, and I bounced
You feel
into
like
another
rammed into
one.
the face of it.
Oh,
Yeah. I went into the next one because it was like a bunch in a row. I went into the next one, and then the bike just landed on me. And just, that
holy.
was it. Broke me in half.
Did you pass out, or were you just sitting?
No, I was like, it was crazy because I actually remember like I crashed and I was okay, but then the bike like a second later blasted me, and I was like, "Ugh," like it hurt. But when I just laid there, it wasn't super bad. It was like when I tried to actually move, I was like, holy shit, it was pretty bad. I didn't even have to have surgery. It was crazy. Your
So you
pelvis,
healed
it,
up okay?
yeah, it was good. Like,
Did they were you laid up for a while though?
no, I like laid there. Ambulance came. I
No,
got
no,
in.
no.
I
when you
mean, like
laid
the
up, like,
heel. I mean,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah,
pelvic. I feel like it's hard to do anything while your pelvic is
dude.
more
I was in
blocked.
a hospital bed in my living room for 2 months almost,
Yeah, that's what I
but it
figured.
healed
Pretty much not
fast.
moving.
It was like 10 weeks, and I was good, like healed up.
Could you go to the
sounds good.
bathroom at least, or did you have to like bed time?
Oh, it was awful. Yeah, for a couple days, and then I just couldn't deal with it, so I would just drag myself to the bathroom.
Ugh.
It was brutal.
Sam in the chat said she got hit by a hearse on her bike, and I thought she said a horse. I thought she said she got hit by a horse on her bike, but I guess she
Oh,
got hit by a hearse, broke her ankle.
holy shit! That's brutal.
Ouch.
So what would you recommend after all this research and stuff? What would you recommend? Like, how would you handle it now? Like, because I mean, you're still kind of, modifying your sort of decisions, changing your mind now, back and forth. Like, if you were to come at it now and sort of think, what's the best way? Would you do anything even, or how would you approach it?
Yeah, go to. I would basically learn the law. I mean, I think that's the only way you can get like true, maybe resolution or something done, you could say. But here's something I was actually going to bring up is I feel like an affidavit or notice of liability. Um, I think I sent you. I think I sent you something, and I can even send you some stuff maybe if you want to check out. If you're just citing the statutes or your laws that state, you know, nobody can perform medical intervention on you or obtain health records or not let you into a public accommodation because you don't wear a mask, anything like that, you could look those things up and you put that in, say, a notice of liability or just some sort of letter even.
Yeah, you
Or
sent me one. You sent me one for like masks, using masks as an example.
Yeah. And it's just figure out your local area, what, or your state or your province, what those laws are. And that's it. And you can send them like, so if they're trying to do that stuff to you guys now, you would just send that to all local business owners. So anywhere you got to go, send it to them. And they're going to be liable. Here it's like that. That's why everything got like Florida. From what I understand, that Steve guy that did the property tax stuff was sending stuff around. That's why it didn't last but a week here or 2 weeks, because it got sent around to, and supposedly people got sued for doing that kind of shit. So they just shut it. They stopped it. No lockdown. The mask shit basically went away because of that. So that was all that needed to be done is some letters sent around saying, I mean, basically you're violating my rights. You can't do that according to these laws. It's really that simple. So you can like get stuff done outside of needing to do any kind of litigation or go to court, you know? And I think that's what any of us would want, you know, because who wants to deal with any of that shit?
Oh yeah, who wants to go to court? Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go in there and you do the wrong shit, you could even do the right shit and you're still going to get steamrolled in your local area. You know, here it's like, all right, your municipality, you're going to get steamrolled because they're going to protect their own, of course. Okay, so then you can end up in state. The state may do the same thing. So then where's the problem going to get solved? Maybe federal. It could get solved in federal. There's actually, I think the same guys, I think Steve or Alphonse, those guys they had done something with the IRS. They had helped all these people through the years. And I think I read like a petition to the federal court that he had written, just citing the code and asking, hey, where's my obligation? Basically, like, where do you find that I'm a taxpayer? Because I read all this stuff, that kind of gives that impression, but it doesn't mean I'm a taxpayer because it says a person. That doesn't mean me. Just citing those things. And he ended up going from federal to state because the state, supposedly some of the states don't really like the federal. They don't like the IRS. So you can like switch it. If you're not getting resolution in the state for something, then you can go federal. But those are all, it's like, dude, I think most of us just want to be left the fuck alone. They don't want to hassle with wearing those stupid ass mask or getting any kind of medical intervention you don't want. So I think that simple letters and stuff like that is something that could, but you got to read the law and you got to understand it.
And that might be where the US really does excel, because
right
in Canada we might not have the same, like, even though we do have this, what do we have, Darren? A Charter of Rights, I guess it's called.
Yeah,
but
Constitution Act.
Yeah,
that's all.
But it might not be as powerful and clear as yours. Like, it might have that little statement that kind of just basically makes the whole thing null and void if a certain thing happens. Like,
dude, I don't, because I know England, Great Britain has
as
this.
I can tell, under my interpretation, it's all illegal in Canada. It's all illegal.
What's all illegal?
All the COVID stuff is illegal. They can't fucking make you get shots. They can't even do it for their own, to work for them. They can't even do it to work for them.
Right.
And
they can't do it for any reason.
Like class action lawsuits. I think that the only reason that we're super frustrated right now, and we're going to be super frustrated for the rest of our fucking lives, is because the law moves so fucking slow.
Yeah.
That the class action victories are going to be a decade from now, and we've completely moved on to something else. If this government and if this shit's still in place, that's what it's going to take. Well, Alberta just overturned all the shit, so everyone gets their money back. All the fines and all the things have been deemed illegal. But right. I'm sure that's going to get appealed again. Or where does that go from here to there? Or change a word so they can try it again.
Right. What think about this is that's where you get you hold the business owners accountable, because that's basically who they were relying on.
Exactly.
Business owners to fucking pull this bullshit. So then they got to be held liable. So it doesn't matter if it's a huge box store. Dude, here you could sue any CEO of any business. You sue the living shit out of them in their individual capacity, and they would be toast in any court here.
Difference here. I'm not sure we can do that here.
Yeah.
It's like an accident involving death or injury.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Because of medical intervention, if they're saying you can't come in here and they're public,
yeah. No, I'm on your side. I'm just saying it's a lot harder to sue people in Canada.
Yeah, but you gotta look at it in a way is they're doing you harm. So they're preventing you from getting food because you won't do something they say you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about that. So is that not infringing on those natural rights you talked about? That's perspective you got to put it in. So then The way,
Go to the grocery store, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up.
dude. Well,
'Cause
I mean,
I
you're
was allowed in the grocery store still. I just wasn't allowed in the restaurant.
yeah, same thing though. It's all the same. So you could hit that CEO with a letter, and if you know what to say and what laws they're breaking, dude, who's gonna look at that and be like, "Holy shit!" Or they hand it to a lawyer.
Or that's the thing is they might not even want to call their lawyer because just calling their lawyer is going to cost them $500.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
man. Just sit in the fucking corner and don't
But
bug us.
but what if they read it for themselves? You cite it so they can look it up. If they don't have a lawyer, they're not that big of a business. So then they look it up and they're like, "Holy shit, he's not bullshitting."
This nigga don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Brandon, this has been fantastic.
Hang on. One way to finish here. I want to read the number one thing from the Guarantee of Rights and Freedoms from Canada's charter.
All right.
The Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This might be it. I'm not sure. Guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. So I don't know. I think that's what they're saying. Like it's saying it has to be demonstrably justified in a free society or something. Like
Easy. I can demonstrably justify it with my Glock.
Yeah.
And that's in the Constitution there?
That's the number one thing in the Canadian Charter of Rights. I just downloaded it from the government.
What about what's the Constitution say?
That's what you want. Constitution is the number one.
Well,
so
it's not. This is going to be from the Constitution Act, or it's going to be a part of it. But the Constitution Act, I think this overrides everything. In my opinion, but I don't really.
Well, the Constitution is basically it's like the initial contract. That's what the Constitutions are.
Like 1982, so it's definitely not the initial.
No, you want the initial.
The initial is the British America Act, though, or some crazy, the British North America Act, or some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to really dig into that.
Because that's the main thing. Not even about COVID, but it's like it's too bad we couldn't just get our natural rights back, or the rights we had in the ancient rights. You mentioned ancient rights, Brandon. Right? Like,
to offend me.
You can. Well, you have them. You have them here. It's called substantive rights. They're the natural rights you cannot give away. So I'm pretty sure they use that word in law everywhere. Substantive rights.
Not up here.
I don't know, dude, because I swear I read it in Great Britain, and I'm pretty sure maybe they write it a little bit different there, but they shouldn't. It shouldn't be far off.
We'd be pretty similar to Great Britain, I would imagine.
Yeah, unless they manipulated it to make it a little worse for you guys. But you just got to look at it like those constitutions are contracts. That was them being hired to do commerce. That's all it was here. So here's what we need. We'll let you guys come in and do commerce, but this is our rights are going to be, we want those still. So then that's why they write that up.
So study up on this stuff is your advice, kind of like learn about the charter. I'm on the government page right now. Learn about the charter, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Don't learn about it from the government, though. I feel like that's the worst place.
No. I mean, you have to. Whatever's going to go through those courts, it's the only way.
Our government page is already like whitewashed, everything before 1985 on critical legislation. You can't count on that for anything. It's not like you'd have to find like the actual, you got to find the papers. You got to find
you got to find what's at the top. Here, the Constitution is at the top. Nothing can override the federal and the state constitution.
We're still under that weird maritime British North America Act somehow. I mean, that Constitution here was just legislation passed in Parliament.
Right. And so legislation are the only ones that can pass law. All the ordinance and all that bullshit mandates is all administrative.
Yeah,
That's the
what they
bottom tier.
That's how they won in Alberta. They said that the only people that can mandate anything, it would have to be a law that is passed by the legislation.
Yeah, legislative body. It's the same. So everything's set up the same way. And the legislature is never going to violate religion and any kind of natural rights. It's just, dude, there's no way. They've never crossed that boundary. So they put it on CEOs to do what happened a couple years ago. So you think about all the shit that happened, it was them.
Yeah.
It wasn't, they really didn't do anything but say, oh, this is a mandate and this is ordinance, or this is a guideline from.
I agree, because that's why I got so pissed off with the companies. It's like, you guys, and Darren even, is like, you guys are the ones that have to push back. Like, I know it's me and you talking, but you got to talk to your boss, and your boss has to push back for whoever.
Right.
You know, whoever's.
And they probably weren't getting any pressure, but from some dickhead health enforcement guy coming in, which that business owner could have sued him.
My buddy Jesse owns a restaurant, and he said, because he was like, they weren't doing it. He's like, they weren't doing, you know, he had to put the little sign up in the corner with one of the things. So, but he's like, we didn't give a fuck. We weren't checking nothing. And he's like, but, you know, every 2 days there'd be some, you know, usually an old white lady over there that's just waiting. Like, aren't you going to check? Aren't you going to check?
But then can't they just like, then they'll just pretend they're checking?
Dude.
Oh, look.
That's why I think all of us holding them accountable, and then they get held accountable. And then, I mean, if they're not really getting any pressure from anybody, then it's all on them.
Yeah.
And they should be held accountable, because then it would at least wake them up. If you're just sending them something saying, dude, these are the laws that you can go to court and get sued. These are the laws you broke.
I'm increasingly jaded that it's going to take violence, that, you know, or at least the threat of actual violence before they back off with some of this stuff. Like, I mean, it's telling the dude with a 44 on his hip to hurry up and get his fucking mask on, faggot, in, you know, Dallas, Texas. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
No, but dude.
But here in Canada, I mean, you'd be surprised at how some brazen some little pipsqueak will get. Because, you know,
but
you got to bring back being able to just hammer people in the mouth once in a while.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Said it best of better days, like, you know, because we were looking at, you know what it was? It was some fucking bitch in the fast lane going slow, doing, you know, exactly the speed limit, right beside someone else, and the person in the slow lane is actually going a little faster. But you can, you know, and she just got this look as people are going by her, you know, like, you know, and Miles, my buddy, is like, you know, that used to just get bullied out. That sort of behavior used to get bullied out. And I was like, dude, that's it. That's like a big missing element. There's a lot of this fucking retardedness. Used to just get bullied out through. By the time you got to high school, you had to like, okay, I got to act somewhat normal. I'm going to get, you know, picked on, or, you know, so you had to adapt. So I don't know. I think we were a little too hard on bullies.
Dude.
You know, I'm not saying we should be online bullying people and making them want to kill themselves. But I mean, if you can't be a fat fucking idiot driving slow in the fast lane and not thinking that people aren't going to think you're an idiot or not want to hang out with you, that's a metaphor, obviously, the fast lane for other things.
Yeah.
But parents have found out that nobody likes them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, it still boils down to how do you get any matter solved? You know, for violence, I doubt, because then you're going to end up fucking jammed up, because you're going to have a claim against you, you know, civil or criminal complaint.
Well, for now.
Yeah.
For another decade or so. I mean, it's really coming down quick.
I still think putting the pressure on the company owners.
Violence fucking fast. I'm telling you that. The second the fucking lights don't turn on for a week, it'll be back to violence ruling everything.
But how long have you been hearing about that kind of shit?
Not long enough. Not long enough.
A couple years now.
Not long enough to not think it's happening. Yeah, but dude, it's like Atlas shrugged. It's not going to happen. It all takes so fucking long. You think the fucking courts are slow, bro. The fucking
Yeah,
breakdown of Western civilization was a giant, most complicated mechanism that man has
dude.
ever created. And it's going to take a long time to break. But
Right.
there's fucking parts flying off all over the place. And the fucking people that are trying to put them back on are not fucking qualified. I know you're seeing this. I know you're seeing it. It's like,
Yeah.
it's getting harder to do anything because the level of idiocracy has come up a few notches, or the IQ has come down a few notches, or something is fucking slipping. Something is slipping on a machine that is already rattling itself apart.
What do
And
you?
I don't
But
think we can put it back together.
do you think the past few years is some sort of wake up though?
Yeah, but I think it's too late. I think it's like 20 years too late. We never had a way out of it. The COVID, it wasn't a wake up enough, because what COVID actually did is push like the last bit of the expertise, the real expertise, the 60 plus, the 55 plus. They all just left the industry.
Yep.
When they got told, you got to get a jab, you got to wear a mask, you got to do this, these guys were the end of the boomers. They had money, they had property, maybe they had shares, but
Yeah.
they all got in when money was still worth something, and they were like, you know what, man, I'm not doing it. I'm out.
Yep.
And
Because
not to mention a bunch of them fucking died from the jabs. So, oops, wrong show. But allegedly, maybe I didn't say that, but it seems to be a thing. But for whatever reason, across every sector, what was already not enough people to pass down to, especially in the more like blue collar sectors, construction, flying planes, all that kind of stuff. So hard work that
Right.
most good men do, all that shit was already not enough men, so we're trying to immigrate our way out of it. That ain't fucking working.
I just talked to a guy yesterday who said he was a truck driver, like a lift truck driver in the oil field, and he just retired in 2020. He just retired 2 years ago during COVID, because he's like saying this exact point. Probably in his 60s, probably wasn't ready for retirement, but he did it early because things were looking pretty messy, and of course the industries were slow because COVID, shut all this stuff down, and
almost every project I'm on right now is run by people who have no business running fucking a garage build, let alone a fucking multi-million or $100 million commercial project. I couldn't believe it. If you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would have said there's no fucking way.
Right.
Because I used to sit in meetings with people that fucking, you couldn't help but be a little bit, in awe of what they were doing, because I'm still young, man. I should not be having these thoughts. I should still be trying to keep up with the people in these meetings. But I mean, I'm just like, what the fuck did you just say? Out loud in front of people? It's in your ball in court,
Dude, it's crazy, man. It's crazy to think how things changed in the last few years.
And probably less so in Florida. Like, you're probably in the place that,
yeah, you're in like the most
secure dude,
North America too. It's like getting weird.
Right. We went to Pennsylvania that 2020. My mom passed away and went back up there, and it was weird. And nothing was really like that here. And I was like, damn, this is crazy, man. It's crazy to just see that. Just even the 2 or 3 weeks that it happened here, I was like, what the fuck? Because I was working.
Well, like you mentioned business owners, it's not even just them, because it's like, yeah, the problem is if the business owners were like, because a lot of them were just like, who gives a fuck, man? Come on in with it. But then you got other fucking people freaking the fuck out. I mean, there's
I know
from the fucking meatheads saying there's no wearing a mask.
Yeah. It was crazy. That's like the part that I think what I was talking about, opening people's eyes though. Because I think there's so many of those people that were confused or just didn't know they were acting that way, but then now they're like, "What the fuck? Like,
now
what was I doing
with Israel and Hamas? Or Palestine?
I fucking don't follow any news
no.
about anything, nothing at all. I just can't. I've seen so many things that were just not right or false or bullshit, and it's just like, dude, you don't even know what's real, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly. Unless you know somebody that lives there, it's like that shit could be out in the middle of a desert somewhere or some.
Wag the dog, man. I'm convinced the Mars fucking rovers in Greenland someplace.
Dude, I don't doubt it. I really don't.
All right, Brandon. This has been fantastic. Is there any place our listeners can follow you? Any website, anything like that? Social media?
No, nothing. I mean, my name at Instagram, but I don't post anything. If people want to ask me some questions or whatever, that's cool. Maybe I could help a little bit, or I'll look into your Canadian Constitution or thereof and see if I can give you guys some advice just on on that end.
Yeah,
Well,
it'd be cool.
yeah.
What do you
So
think
read
that
the
if there's a
treaty
difference
too.
in-
Read the treaties too.
Yeah.
Baby for life.
Your treaties probably protect the municipality. So it's just a contract with business to business.
They seem to protect my guns from anyone wanting to fuck with my shit.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, then you're subject to that municipality. But if they're lenient, that's what was going on here. Is the Choctaw were forcing masks on people, and the guys or vaccines or masks, and then they figured out it was a municipality, and they're like, dude, what? They was trying to enforce on non-tribe members and stuff. So yeah, but you might have protections and they might be cool, so it's definitely
At
worth.
least it's at a smaller scale then, right?
Well, yeah, but it just depends on how the leader of the tribe is, or whoever runs that whole thing. They may not want to have anything to do with the government rules and that shit.
Maybe I got to run for chief. I think the next election's
Dude.
like a year and a half. Chief
Yeah,
Judge.
There you go.
I got a headdress.
you should be able to look at what laws they put into place. So then you could figure out, hey, dude, this is actually a great thing. So who cares if it is actually registered or whatever,
I'm an assimilated Indian. I got no business being chief. That's crazy. I think Coop said it best when he said you have the right to do what you're told. All right, Brandon, this has been fantastic.
Cool.
Thanks for staying up late for us, and you have a good
Yeah.
night over there on the
Thanks,
sun.
buddy.
Florida
Cool.
Sunshine State? I think so, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Ciao.
Heck
Hey,
yeah.
man, yeah.
Bye.
And that was a chat with Brandan Pundai. What'd you think?
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
I expect him to be brown, dude.
I think it cleared up me a little bit. Yeah. Maybe I
Yeah,
should.
it's fun. Big thanks to Brandon for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're one of the people who choose to support the show so we could not pay taxes. GrabAmerica.ca/support so we could hire a lawyer for when we get busted for not paying taxes. If we're not, I didn't say we weren't paying taxes. Maybe we are, maybe we aren't. It's none of your business. We're not really making any money because not enough people support. So GrabAmerica.ca/support if you can, when you can, guys. GrabAmericaOutloud.ca is the other podcast. AdultBrain.ca for the audiobooks. Spam Graham, no one really does that anymore. Tell him how great he is.
Graham at GrandAmerica.com.
Graham,
Will you call yourself Chief Grimerica if you get can you make your own name up when you become a chief?
No, I can't be chief. That
You
wouldn't
can't be
be
chief,
right.
really? Because you
I haven't spent a day on the fucking reserve in my life. I got
Well,
no business being the chief. I
maybe
could
they
be the
want
chief of Grimerica. Chief Grimerican.
Chief Grimerica.
What does that make you?
Let's start our own band. I mean, can't you start your own non-reservation band? I mean, this is
I probably
should.
could. There's probably a way to do it. That would be the thing to look into.
Yeah. Is your
Legally.
tribe, your own tribe, the Grimerica tribe.
And start just giving out treaty cards to everybody. $1,000. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
Teach me all your secrets to get a good handle on a better way to live. How does one get out of bed every day in the throes of the apocalypse? Should I bury my head in the sand or sabotage their evil plan? I feel really trapped, an ant burned by a magnifying glass. It's all a little bit too convenient, all the evidence went up in flames. Phonies, fraudsters, scammers belong in the slammer, my friend, best give up their names. Should I call on militiamen or pass out a petition pen? I feel really trapped, an ant burned by a magnifying glass. I don't know what y'all been told, but I got a soul made out of gold. Sound off, 1, 2, sound off, 3, 4, cadence count, 1, 2, a big ball. Some time ago a crazy dream came to me. I dreamt I was walking into World War III. As prophetic as humidity, as aching bones, as frantic animals. Sophia wrote it down, built an ark, now she floats it down a river dark. As prophetic as deja vu, as wormwood, as falling stars above. Sophia wrote it down, built an ark, now she floats it down a river dark. I can't even hear my own thoughts for the life of me over the din of a bruised and broken culture. The media spins and splatters and spins and clatters, and I cringe because it's psychological warfare. Don't you feel yourself getting really mad? How did we let it get this bad? Don't you feel really trapped, like a brain in a vat? Trying really hard to close Pandora's box, but sirens are singing me off a cliff. I'm looking to hitchhike to Shangri-La over yonder. Sophia, would you give me a lift? Hopped out of the Hegelian rebellion. Say goodbye to all you Machiavellians. Let evil destroy itself. I'm bound for Shangri-La. Shangri-La. I'll let you be in my dream if I could be in yours. I'll let you be in my dream if I could be in yours. As prophetic as morning doves, as groundhogs, as fallen stars above. Sophia wrote it down, built an ark, now we're floating it down a river dark. As prophetic as white wolves, as butterflies, as rainbows. Sophia sings it now. We built a plane, now we're taking flight above a river bright. As prophetic as white wolves, as butterflies, as rainbows. Sophia sings it now. We built a plane, now we're taking flight above a river bright. La da da da, la da da, la da, la da da, la da 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 da, la 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 Shangri-La. La 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 Shangri-La.